All right, it's now 6 p.m. on the 23rd of February, 2026, and I call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. I have a roll call.
David Dahl,
Here.
Dean Haddock,
Present.
Nicholas Andrews,
Here.
Matthew Filer,
Here.
Justin Henderson,
Here.
John Linus,
Here.
Lindsay Haga.
Okay, so this is our organizational meeting. So before we get on to any old or new business, which was really just our proposed amendments for new business, we need to move into election of officers. So Christian, if I'm going to turn it over to you, so you can explain the process here.
Certainly. In essence, the chair and vice chair are elected by the members of the board, or commission in this case. In the initial election, because the chair is no longer the chair, I will handle the election, and then the new chair, or if it's the same chair, will handle the election of the vice chair. Each position can be held for a term of 1 year, and each person who holds that position can hold it twice in a row. So anybody on the board who's a full-time member is eligible to sit as chair and vice chair, so you guys are welcome to nominate whoever you want. The nominee doesn't have to accept it. You're all here, so we can't nominate anybody who's not here, unfortunately. But if you just want to go ahead, I can start the election. I will take nominations for the position of chair.
I nominate our current chair.
Are there any other nominations? Do you accept the nomination?
Yeah.
All right. Can I have a voice vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Nick is our chair once again.
Well, thanks. Folks, I guess we're going to move then to the nomination for vice chair for the next year.
I nominate Justin.
Are there any other nominations?
Mr. Chair, I didn't understand who was nominated.
The current vice chair, Justin. All right, could I have a voice vote? All in favor? Aye, please.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thanks, sir.
All right. So we do not have any minutes to approve. And do we have any old business?
No old business.
All right, move on to new business.
We have for your consideration, in the last year or just under, we've been working under the bylaws, which is a new process for the board, the commission. Obviously, there were going to be some things that worked, some things that might need to be tweaked. Simultaneous, we also had our city clerk retire, and now we have a new city clerk. We've been kind of going through the last year and looking at how things have worked out, and we had some suggestions, so we brought those to you as amendments to the bylaws. None of them are major structural changes. It's really more process oriented, but I'll just kind of go through them. They are, again, suggestions by staff. You guys are the keepers of the bylaws, so you would basically vote on these items as, when we get to the end. We can do them as a whole, or you can do them individually. But first and foremost, I guess there was not a set time when new members appointed to any of the commissions or boards would be sworn in. There was sort of an ad hoc process where staff at the planning department would do training for commissioners prior to their being sworn in, but in an attempt to bring everything more in line with how city council does everything, basically the first meeting after the appointment, which is typically in December, the new appointees would show up to that meeting and be sworn in. So there wouldn't be any delay or kind of gray area when that would happen. So the expectation is if you're appointed, you'll come to the first meeting and be sworn in. Obviously, if there is a conflict, you would address that with the clerk's office, but that's sort of going to be the standard going forward. And again, most of these are to try and make the process the same as council, and we're doing the same thing with Board of Adjustment and the other boards to make it all, one, simpler for us, but two, so the public kind of knows the routine. There's nothing unique about each board.
So, theoretically, on their first regular scheduled meeting after their appointment, theoretically, if they can't make the appointment like the next on the list, they wouldn't get appointed until the next. What would be the next? Push the appointment back.
Yeah, precisely. The intent is that, as soon as they're able to be appointed, they would be appointed. If there's conflict, they
Things
just
come up, they'd be like, "Hey,
let
I
the
just happened
clerk's
to be
office know.
called
Yeah,
on." Yeah, okay.
that the role of the sort of swearing in and officiating and all that is the clerk's office, but obviously we have the clerk's office staff here as well. So, but you would coordinate that with them, and then obviously staff on the planning side handles the orientation and training. So we're just going to bifurcate those two things because they don't necessarily directly relate to each other. The second item is the organizational meeting date and the election of officers. Hadn't even occurred to me when I was doing the bylaws, but previous code just said that basically you guys would have an organizational meeting. Under the new code, we thought it was a good idea to let you guys pick when that meeting would be, because we'd had a situation in the past where the meeting was pushed and pushed and pushed to like March or something. So when I talked to the clerk about this, she noticed that one, the code and the bylaws state that the term for chair and vice chair is 1 year. But since that meeting wasn't a set time, that 1 year could be a year and 6 months or 8 months. Plus, knowing when we have that meeting makes it easier for them to make sure we have staff, because they can plan their vacations around it and stuff like that. So our recommendation is to make the organizational meeting be the first meeting in February. That way it's not right after the holidays. And the terms for chair and vice chair would just run to and from the organizational meeting. So like tonight would be your election. Obviously it would run to the next. In this case, there'd be a 2-week period where you wouldn't, be a full year. But considering that's, bringing us into alignment, I just think it would make it easier and for us. And then again, the public will know, obviously, for those that care, when that meeting will be and can attend if they like.
Yeah, I think this actually, number 2 makes a ton of sense, unless anybody has any comments on it.
Do we need a motion on the floor to discuss in this context, or can we?
No, this isn't anything legislative. It's just process for you guys. So
Cool.
I mean, we'll vote at the end for the amendments. But yeah, if you have questions, just jump in.
The only question I have is just the strictness of the language, and if we need to move the meeting or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how we would handle, but it does say at the February annual organization meeting, and then the first amendment, the first one of appointment of new positions, that one makes sense to me because at the next scheduled meeting. But if we, for whatever reason, have to forego a February meeting, the language should probably be flexible enough to allow us to do that with a vote or something. Like February or the next scheduled meeting.
Yeah,
Immediately
that's a
following.
good point. Yeah.
That would probably potentially affect the expiration too. I don't know if we need to get into that, but I would just imagine that it's either the first meeting in February or the second meeting in February. February is a short month, so it could go into March, but since February is a short month.
Some general language, it will generally be the first meeting in February, but kind of maybe set some, parameters, like if there is a reason that the meeting isn't held or something along those lines. But I'll we can make that more flexible. I'll talk to the attorney on the best wording for that. But yeah, the goal would be to have it set for that, meeting. But if we have to move it, obviously there would be a procedure for that. So
Yeah, let me not try to wordsmith it here, but I'm sure it
Sure.
opens a small can of worms.
I think it's a good idea to have a set process that has room for flex. But it should have expectations of arrival when you're appointed and when it's time to be trained and when it's time to be sworn in. And if you can't make it, hey, we've all been there. Then you do it another time. And you say that somewhere in the document so that there's room for that. But that's all you need. Pretty simple.
Yeah, basically, there's just something in there that says, "Hey, we can at the whatever meeting needs to be, a month out, 2 months out, whatever, we can say, hey, we can put it on the schedule. If everybody can't be there, maybe we can push it 2 weeks. No big deal.
Well, I think the only person who might care is like the chair and vice chair with their terms of a year. Is it 11 months? Is it 10 months? If we have to kick it back to April, I personally don't
Vice
care.
Chair does not care.
The current.
I imagine y'all don't care.
That's it doesn't make any difference to me. Obviously, I cannot speak for future chairs or anything. My only caution here, or my only concern is that I don't want to make it too flexible, right? I really like hey, you're going to have your organizational meeting in February, right? And
Absolutely.
It's nice to have it on.
That's the right way.
and maybe some general language after that to say if that is. There's other reasons you might not have it here. What if we have some sort of huge snow thing or something? I mean, it's not just because it might be canceled or scheduling or anything like that. So I get the need for putting some language in there so that we don't get sideways, if you will. I just don't want to make it too open-ended.
Yeah, and my point is just I don't think we should extend the term out to align then with if we have to kick it back, it's not exactly 1 year, it's still February.
Yeah, I think.
And if the term gets shortened, then the term gets shortened, and that's just what it is.
Well, I mean, I'm only staring at like 11 months and 2 weeks at this point. So.
But who's counting, right? Who's counting?
Okay. I think I've got the gist of it. And then we've got other, codes and processes that deal with other types of meetings. I'm sure we have some standard language somewhere in what we've already got. So that's pretty straightforward. And then the last one, although probably minor and you guys wouldn't even notice, there's elements of our agenda that are traced back to some operating guidelines that were passed in like 2018 that were not directly aligned with how council was doing things, and particularly for the clerk's office, it makes it a little bit more complicated in our online system, like having to go in and put everybody's name in instead of just saying roll call, because as they change out, they're like pre-programmed text that you basically pull out of a drop-down menu, so there's a lot of going back and fixing things, and we don't do that for council. We just have roll call, and then the clerk's office calls everybody's name. So things like that, we're just going to tweak to match how council does it. That way, it's simpler in our system. And again, it's for the public. It's the exact same agenda, just says planning commission instead of council. Sure, I think that's everything. Yeah. So those are our recommendations. Just kind of go through them real quick again. So we would have the swearing in as soon as possible after appointment, and then we'll do orientation as available, but not have those be linked together. The annual organizational meeting will generally be the first meeting in February each year, and the terms for chair and vice chair will generally adhere to that. We'll put in some relief valve mechanism that makes sense to make that a little bit more flexible, and then we'll amend the agenda to match how council does it. So those are our general recommendations. There's a strike through and underlined version in the code or in the attachments. Obviously, we'll have to tweak that a little bit. If you guys are generally okay with it, we can certainly bring it back for a vote if you'd rather, or we can make the amendments, and then if you decide you don't like them, we can bring it back up. We don't have to amend the bylaws strictly at the annual organizational meeting. It made sense to do it now, but whatever you're comfortable with, if you want to approve them in concept or you want us to come back with a revised draft, we can do that.
So I don't want to. My thought on this is I don't want to go another like week and a half, or 2 weeks of looking at something, changing a couple of words or whatever. That said, I also don't want to approve something we haven't read. But we have a process in place to change something if we disagree with it. Correct?
Yeah, you guys can amend the bylaws.
I think I've heard we have some slight concern with is agenda item 2, which was the language around the organizational meeting being in February. So what is the council comfortable, or the commission comfortable with proceeding with right here? Are we thinking since we have general agreement on all of them, we should move forward? Should this come back for a vote? How do we want to go?
I don't know that there's going to be any language we could possibly put in there that's going to come back to bite us.
I tend to
Kristen, do you
agree.
agree with that?
I mean, I can get pretty creative, but no, I think I can write stuff that's pretty.
I mean, as long as it's all
Can-
above board, I think it's fine.
I think it's fine in the spirit of what we discussed, as long as that's reflected. I mean, even if the language is as is, I think that's what we would do naturally anyway.
Okay, so if we're all in agreement, then let's go ahead and have a vote on adoption of these changes as written, with the note of adding some language to increase some flexibility for the organizational meeting in February.
I recommend approval using the
Second.
language we just went through.
Sorry to cut you off. Second.
Roll call, please.
David Dahl. Dean Haddock.
Yes.
Matthew Filer.
Yes.
Justin Henderson.
Yes.
John Linus.
Yes.
Lindsay Haga.
Yes.
Nicholas Andrews.
Yes.
Alrighty. And I will, of course, bring you guys a final version to look at. So if you do find something to tweak, we can certainly do it again. And the last two things, we do not have a meeting. The next meeting in March, we don't have any action items for that. I did get confirmation that the city attorney will be available to do the requested consultation on tobacco sales and regulations. So
Can you just summarize that? Because I think we have members here that were not here for that discussion.
Please. To the best of my ability, basically the planning commission was curious what their role would be in the regulation of tobacco sales, how that works with various state regulations, in essence what their leeway is to approve and disapprove things and how that would work. So he basically said he would go and look at other cities and other case law, state statutes, and come back and give you guys basically a presentation and a question and answer on where you would fit into that process.
And that would be scheduled here at our 6 o'clock meeting on
Yes,
the 23rd.
it'll be the March 23rd meeting. It's the only item that we have, so it'll just be for you guys.
And some additional context on that is just the influx of vape stores and smoke shops that have been opened recently, and we just recently approved a medical dispensary facility, and so we just all want to know what is within our purview and what we don't have control over.
All right. That's all the planning department had, unless there's any questions.
Are there any questions for the planning department? All right, is there anything else the commission would like to discuss right now? All right, if not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned.